We're going to get some more chairs. And just about, what are you there? Who would like there? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Good. You can also sit on the grass and all over there, down Harry. But back to the chair. You're not in bed. Yay.
Let's show thanks to Ricky and the band as they walk out. Yeah, thank you so much. And they are known as the individuals of peace. We'll say more about Ricky and the individuals of peace in just a moment. We'll begin this afternoon with libation in silence. We have work to do today. We have the work of mourning and the work of remembrance of the nearly 50,000 residents of the city of New York who died of COVID beginning in March of 2020 and continuing to this day. We also mark and remember the deaths of millions of people around the world who died during the pandemic. My name is Kay Turner, and I'm an original member of the Naming the Lost Memorials Collective. And I'll be your guide today as we go on a journey of remembering the dead and renewing our commitment to them. We come together today at Greenwood Cemetery and also online to activate our big, slow, majestic COVID Memorial. We just heard Ricky Gordon's brass and woodwind band, the Individuals of Peace, led by Louisiana native Ricky Dirty Red Gordon, who has performed with Wynton Marsalis and worked on numerous movie soundtracks, including for Spike Lee, and featuring the second line ensemble that led the procession down from the Gothic Arch, including Dirty Red himself on snare drum, Roger Garcia on trumpet, Rashawn Salam on trombone, Steve Duffy on sousaphone, Cleve Guyton Jr. on piccolo and alto sax, Isaiah Richardson Jr. on clarinet and tenor sax, and Vince Hunter on the bass drum. The procession also included the Kaisoka Jumbies on stilts. Let's hear it for the Kaisoka Jumbies and for Dirty Red and the Individuals of Peace. Thank you so much for leading us down to this sacred space to do the work that we were about to do. Makini Armand offered our libation today. Makini is a Manbo Asagwe, a priestess of the highest initiated rank in the Voodoo religion. As a Manbo, she performs ceremonies, healings, and divinations. We thank Makini for being with us today to open the circle of our remembrance. And we're also grateful today to our ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, who's standing next to me, Brandon Kazan Maddox. Today's ceremony is also being live streamed right over there on the City Lore YouTube channel. So hello and thank you to all of those of you. Let's wave at the people who are out there and we don't know where. But they're with us today, and we thank you for joining the ceremony. Many of you have been part of Naming the Lost Memorial since the project began 4 years ago, over Memorial Day weekend of 2020. A group called Naming the Lost organized a 24-hour online vigil to hear thousands of names of those we had lost in those first months of the pandemic. We also recognized the need to make visible the invisible, so a group of grassroots artists and activists here in New York City volunteered to begin installing ephemeral COVID memorials around the city, including one that was here at Greenwood Cemetery on the fence line in May of 2020. This group came to be known as a team called Naming the Lost Memorials. And since that time, the NTLM project has grown to include hundreds of people who have lost loved ones to COVID. Artists, organizers, healthcare workers, students, transit workers, immigrants, deaf educators, people living with long COVID, and many, many others. With funding from the Mellon Foundation's Monuments Project initiative, Naming the Lost Memorials has continued our tradition of coming together each year at Greenwood, just like we're doing today, to mourn side by side, to hold space for our ongoing collective grief, and to honor both the living and the dead. The theme for this year's memorial is a big, slow, majestic COVID memorial. In this title, we are taking a directive from disability justice activist and writer Leah Lakshmi Piepzna-Samarasinha, who wrote the following in her book called The Future is Disabled. Quote, "Everyone is holding so much grief right now, and it's so hard, but it's kind of created this bigger, slower, majestic space to be real with what's going on, and organize from that space. The big, slow, majestic space we have created is the beautiful memorial outside the gates of Greenwood Cemetery that you all passed through on your way down here. And now, it is my honor and great privilege to introduce City Councilwoman Alexa Aviles, who represents District 38, including the beautiful neighborhood of Sunset Park, where we're seated and standing today. But before she was a city council member, Alexa was a founding member of Naming the Lost Memorials. And so it is with great pleasure to invite my coworker and comrade, Alexa, up to the microphone to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Kay. I'm gonna share something that many of you may not know. So this original crew were also named the Sexy Memorial Makers, particularly because Kay. All of us were trying to catch up to her. But hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It is both my honor and heart's content to be here on this 4th anniversary of this project that I came to through my own grief, through a time that was so hard for New York City, for the world, where we could not touch each other in our grief as we were watching loved ones and friends pass away. And so when Naming the Lost came to be, I immediately gravitated to it because it was a way that I could engage my grief at the moment. And it will continue to be a place of honoring and celebrating both those who have passed on to the ancestors' world and those who are here present, because we will continue to fight for the living as well. So I just want to say it is my true honor to have you here in the district that I now represent as city council member. And when we first thought about putting this memorial up on the fences, I was ready to go rogue. I was like, let's just do it. Let's claim the fence and it's ours. And my elder said, let's ask Greenwood. Greenwood received us with open arms, and they have been an incredible partner ever since. So I have to thank Greenwood for being such an incredible partner, having us here in this sacred space. And obviously, I want to thank City Lore. I want to thank the Naming the Lost Memorials Collective, and everyone who is a part of this. And before I step and give the mic to somebody else, I have to say the names of those who I lost, because that is our custom. And so if you just bear with me a quick second. Antonio Aviles. Milagros Hernandez. Eva and Abraham Candelario. To all the people in the nursing homes, to all the people locked in institutions who could not touch their loved ones, we remember you all and remember your families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexa. So Alexa has named 3 people in her family who died of COVID. And as we go through the ceremony today, I'd like you to think about the people that you lost, the things that you lost because of COVID, especially the people who died who you knew personally. but also other things that were lost, because we will come to a moment in the ceremony later on where we will name the dead and also name some of those losses. Thank you so much, Alexa. And now we're going to continue the activation portion of the ceremony through music and dance. So I want to just say a word about this particular ceremony, that it may at points seem like entertainment or an arts and culture festival, but it is not. When we do music here and do dance here and say words here, we do it to uplift the dead, and we also do it to uplift the living, okay? So I'd like to introduce, and it's really an honor to do this because I worked with him years ago at the Brooklyn Arts Council. I'd like to continue our activation by introducing the Ramzi Debka group, which will perform a dance and music tradition of the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea. The ensemble is led by Ramzi El Edlibi, and he's a master drummer and dancer who started his career in Lebanon as part of the Lebanese dancing troupe Karakala Dance Company, and his dance ensemble will be accompanied by Zafar Tawil, an accomplished Palestinian musician and a virtuoso on the oud, the qanun, the violin, and all manner of Arab percussion. I'd also like to read to you the names of the ensemble, because some of them, they're in your program, but you know, we decided this time that it was really important to read all the names of the people uplifting the COVID dead and helping to do that through music, through dance, through words. So we're thanking everyone and introducing everyone this time. So with Ramzi Debka, accompanied by Zafar, we have Abdullah Ahmed, Noor Ahmed, Nick Chabat, Ava Chinelli, Christina Clark, Hadi Eldebek, Mohammed Eldebek, Ramzi El Edlibi, Maria Haidid, Nicole Makatsis, Susanna Nieto, Yara Sabane, Elsie Tai, and Glenn Youssef. And I'd also like to mention someone who was not printed into your program, Tafiq Ben Amour. Okay, let's hear it for them. Thank you.
We're merging two songs, two devotional songs from the Christian and the Muslim tradition. ربي إن عظمت ذنوبي كثرة فلقد علمت بأن عفوك أعظم. ربي إن عظمت ذنوبي كثرة فلقد علمت بأن عفوك أعظم. أدعوك ربي كما أمرت تضرعا. أدعوك ربي كما أمرت تضرعا. فإذا رددت يدي فمن ذا يرحم. يا مريم البكر فقت الشمس والقمر وكل نجم بأفلاك السماء سرى وكل نجم بأفلاك السماء سرى. أحبك حبين، حب الهوى وحبا لأنك أهل لذاك. أحبك حبين، حب الهوى وحبا لأنك أهل لذاك. فأما الذي هو حب الهوى، فأما الذي هو حب الهوى فشغلي بذكرك عمن سواك. يا نجمة الصبح شعي في معابدنا نوري عقلنا والشمس والقمر ونوري عقلنا والشمس والقمر. وأما الذي أنت أهل له فادعوني إليك دون سواك. فأما الذي أنت أهل له فدعائي لك دون سواك. يا مريم البكر فقت الشمس والقمر وكل نجم بأفلاك السماء سرى وكل نجم بأفلاك السماء سرى.
العريسين، احلى العريسين للوردي ابو علاوي، عامر الركاب، عبد الرحمن الوردي، عبد الرحمن الوردي، لا تشلشني، عيون ابو صالح، ابو صالح، واحمد الصيفي، غالب عبد. شكرا على التحيه من عيون الشاعر، حياك الله، احلى تحيه. هلا ايه وين الكرد وينه؟ الساحه يا رجال الساحه. اللي بالساحة إذا تكرمتم فضلنا الساحة، إذا تكرمتم فضلنا الساحة. ولي بني على الطاقة للحمامات وخي الشفير الناقة الجوفات. ولي بني حي ردونش تشوفونك وحط الكحل بعيونك في الغمازات. ولي بني حي ردونش تشوفونك وحط الكحل بعيونك في الغمازات. ويلي 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 وليش الغالي ما جانا بلا تبقى حاجانا، ليش الغالي ما جانا بلا تبقى حاجانا. الله عيني سهرانة فرحانة تفزع واسمات. عاشوا عيال القرعان وعيونك يا حسين، عيون محمد القرعان. يلا نشامة نشامة.
تبرز شدوها على المسرح دبشة سورية.
That was fantastic. That really helped. That really helped. Thank you so much. Ramzi, Zafar, Tawfiq. Tawfiq was just telling me that the song that Zafar and he did was actually a mashup of a Christian hymn to the Virgin Mary and also the poetry of a Muslim poet, a woman poet from the 10th century. And they put those two together as a source of unification and blessing and That's what you heard. That's what you were hearing in that song. Beautiful song. The second half of it composed by Tawfiq Benamor. Now, I think many of you have been part of naming the Lost Memorials for the past number of years, and you probably already know this. But one might ask, how does a big, majestic, slow-moving memorial come into being? And it really comes into being at the heart of it all through our work with community partners. Beginning in 2021, when we did a second memorial here at Greenwood, we invited about 20 community partners from around the city to help us build the memorial that year. And we've done that now every year since, inviting different community partners, new ones, old ones come back, but every year we have about 20 partners who each take a portion of the fence to make their own and to make a memorial panel representing their community. So that's how it comes into being. And today we wanted to invite a representative from the community partners to speak to you. This year, one of our partners is Archive-Based Creative Arts. A remote creative workshop, Archive-Based Creative Arts operates as a publishing platform and artist and author collective, building collaborations across the prison walls of incarceration. You can learn more about Archive-Based Creative Arts at archivebasedarts.org. Today, I'm honored to welcome Willie Kearse and Tyler Morse to tell you more about the project and to give testimonial.
Wow. Thank you all for being here. I have to come on after that wonderful ceremony. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Willie Kearse. Thank you for being here today, embracing our Name of the Lost community. I stand before you today with immense gratitude, respect, and genuine service for our community. I represent humanity, but I also represent current and formerly incarcerated people who are constantly being silenced by the New York State Department of Corrections' oppressive policies. My coworker Tyler and I are co-directors of our Archive-Based Creative Arts program at the Parole Preparation Project. Our mission is to ensure that people in prison are heard in their own voices with their own words and artistry. Our purpose here today is to honor people who are still surviving the ongoing pandemic from inside prison and listen to the personal narratives of people like myself who still suffer from COVID symptoms. To stay grounded in our community and our commitment to standing with people in prison and holding the state accountable for medical violence, we spent the last 2 months interviewing all of our contributors and made their interviews available online and in our book that we have copies of today. So that you can read and listen to each speak about their experiences inside. I'd like to read a few quotes from our contributors, which demonstrate the medical negligence that the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Services continue to practice and the holistic ways that people find to survive in spite of it. This is Zara Combs, currently incarcerated at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. Eventually, being in the infirmary, that was not so pleasant. Everybody was in a panic, and nobody wanted to help. It was just weird to have professional nurses and doctors there, and they were like dealing with us at a farther than arm's length. And anything that you need, it was pretty much being punished for being sick. It was a weird experience. It was almost like we were put in solitary confinement. Really? They were trying to sit us there and separate us from each other as far as our peers, but they still had the officers coming in positive. So it was like a lose-lose situation. They were trying to punish us and contain us, but they weren't keeping check on themselves. This is Al Sharifas Robinson, also at Bedford Hills. This disease just came and took over our lives in here. But as the COVID separated us, we united together. Me and the girls in here. So it was more like a disease of separation. But when everything pins us apart in here, in all situations, we find a way to come together on it. It was scary, but it was funny because when it was time for them to check our temperatures and everything, everybody was scared. Like, oh my God, let me go drink some hot sauce. Let me drink some tea. Our temperatures could be okay, and we won't get sent to the infirmary in isolation. And so then we have a cooling off period. Everybody gets to relax and be like, yes, we made it. Malik Johnson told us, if you would do a survey, you would be surprised because you would have to damn near be dying to get adequate medical care in prison. Everything is fixed with a Tylenol. If you feel like you have a broken arm, take this Tylenol. If you feel like you're having a heart attack, take this Tylenol. You'll be all right. That's how ridiculous the medical response is. And they want to give you something to cure the pain, but at the end of the day, ibuprofens ain't good. Those mess with the lining of your stomach. So you're giving me something that's supposed to cure my pain, but messes up something else in my body, right? Regarding the mental health, Pamela Smart laid out, basically the doors just opened and everybody said, okay, life back to normal. And nobody said, hey, how was the experience for you? Are you okay? Nobody did anything. It was like just bam, here you are, back in the world again. And when I watch stories on the news or read magazine articles about how mental health is just crazy since COVID-19, and how people were on TV saying, oh my God, I can't stay in a house for another second. I wanted to throw the TV across the room. You have internet, you have this, you have that in your house. Imagine this. Lock yourself in the bathroom for 2 years and take everything away. No phone, nothing, no internet, whatever. There's absolutely no way to ignore the implications of being locked in a 7x10 concrete coffin for such an extended period of time. In these interviews, the ongoing COVID pandemic touches against many continuous crises in the present moment. Lasting disabilities under terrible healthcare infrastructure, overdose deaths, suicide rates, separation of families. A pandemic illuminates the inherent imbalances of the prison system, just as it illuminates the systems of oppression in the free world. These violations will not end until prison system ends. They will not end until we dismantle the systems of oppression in the world that only we can make free. In this interview, Tracy Wright Jr. reminds us of what people in prison are never told, that there's people out there that need us in society. They need us to do our part. There's people that want us. There's people that need us. There's people that we can help through our experience. We'll leave you with that thought, that we can only begin to imagine the loss we all live with this daily as long as these community members are trapped in confinement, and as long as prisons are the solution we turn to for structural problems. We are missing our elders, our leaders, our children coming into their own. We have the Fair and Timely Act and the Elder Parole Act in Congress now, but that is only the beginning. Every day we live with loss of our community members to confinement, and every day is an opportunity to tap into our beautiful, grief-stricken, love-led collective power to bring them home. Thank you so much, and I wanted to wait to the end to let you all know that I too was in there with every one of these people that suffered from COVID inside, and I understand exactly what they're going through. So I know they would be very thankful to sit here, to know that all of you took the time out your days in life to sit here and listen to their concerns today. So thank you so much, and we appreciate you so much. You have a wonderful day.
We are here today to confront the realities of COVID, of what COVID does to people and how it puts them into places that they really, really do not want to be. And Willie, I thank you very much for bringing testimonial to this ceremony about people who were in prison during the worst of the pandemic and could not get the help that they needed. Rabbi Miriam Grossman is a Jewish educator, ritual maker, writer, and organizer. She is the co-chair of Teardoff, New York Jewish Clergy for Justice, the Joint Rabbinic Council of Jews for Racial Justice, Racial and Economic Justice, and Tura of New York. From 2019 to 2023, Rabbi Miriam was the rabbi of Kolat Hayenu in Brooklyn, New York. Unfortunately, Rabbi Miriam had a last-minute conflict that means she is not able to join us in person today, but instead, she joins us in words that she wrote for our ceremony that will be read to us by Jenny Romaine, a lead artist for Naming the Lost Memorials, a very good friend, to come forward to read Rabbi Miriam's address.
It's an honor, actually. So these are Rabbi Miriam Grossman's comments. Thank you to the artists, the makers, the organizers. Thank you to the nurses, and I know we have a lot of you here. Thank you to the nurses and doctors and care workers. Thank you to the workers. Thank you to the mourners. Thank you to the healers and healing, which in some way is always all of us. Thank you to the people who cared for others and for themselves and who still do. I was a pulpit rabbi from the start of the pandemic until this fall. When the virus came to New York, I quickly learned to do funerals and memorials and pastoral care from a distance. I heard the murmurs of goodbyes said over FaceTime. I saw flashes of shaky cell phone camera angles at gravesides. I remember suddenly seeing the sky when a phone was dropped outside. An interruption to the funeral that felt more right than any words. I remember the mourners and the mourned. I remember my father's own funeral, not from COVID, but during COVID. I remember the ways the sanctuary was still and quiet. The way COVID meant taking incredible pains to keep him safe. The pews were half empty by design, but the service was full in the digital world, populated by people from every chapter of his life, wherever they lived in the world. A map of his life and the lives of everyone he had loved, illuminated faces on screen next to the pulpit. We give thanks for the stories. We give thanks for the capacity to seek stillness. We give thanks for the map of our lives, the ways we keep drawing ourselves closer to one another.
Jenny, thank you so much for reading the words of Rabbi Miriam. We now are going to have another presentation of music. Alfonso Cid is a flamenco singer, flute player, and composer. He's also a teacher and a scholar hailing from Sevilla in Spain, whose works span the genres of flamenco, flamenco fusion, Spanish indie rock, and flamenco jazz. Alfonso will sing a type of Spanish music called the seta. In Sevilla and throughout southern Spain, saitas are a type of song that's sung during festivals, but also they're most prominently found during the Easter processions for Semana Santa. It's a pleasure for us to have Alfonso with us. Please welcome Alfonso Seed.
Yo no tengo yo no tengo, yo no tengo, yo no tengo nada que ofrecerte. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 más que mi vida, que mi fortuna, ay, yo la doy por verte, ay, 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 madre mía, ay, madre mía, la doy por verte. Que desde mi humilde cuna yo la enseñaron a quererte. Ay, ay, y que desde mi humilde cuna y me enseñaron a quererte. So that was a saeta. The saetas are devotional songs that are sung during the processions in Holy Week, not only in my hometown in Seville, but also throughout the south of Spain in the region of Andalusia. They are thought to be originated by conversos, by Jewish conversos that had to prove their devotion to Christianity through showing off their vocal abilities and their worshiping to God, to the Christian God. The next song I'm going to sing is Debla Martinete Antoná. These are part of a subgenre of flamenco songs called cante hondo, or deep song, and they are sung without the accompaniment of the guitar. You all know that flamenco normally is sung with the accompaniment of the guitar, and also the beautiful flamenco dancers, whether they are female or male. But these are part of that subgenre called cante hondo, or deep song, and they are songs that I learned from a legendary flamenco singer called Tomás Pavón. Ay, tri, 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 tri. Ay, tri, tri, ay, tri, 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 tri. Intra, ay, tri, 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 ay, tri, 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 tri. Intra. Y en el barrio de Triana ya no hay pluma ni tintero. Pa' yo escribirle yo a mí y mare, ay, 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 acá se tres años que no la veo. Si la mamá de mí se entraña a levantar a su cabeza y viera, ay, cómo me vego, se moriría de tristeza. A los olivaritos del valle, que yo me llevadito hasta Buena Serrana, y yo le echadito mi bracito por encima la miré como a mi hermana, si no es verdad. Y esto que yo digo, si no es verdad, que Dios me mande la muerte, si me la quiere.
Alfonso Seed, let's hear it again for He brought us deep song, and we really need deep song. Thank you so much, Alfonso. And we also need to express deep thanks. So we come to this part of our program where we really want to name a number of the people and organizations that have made this afternoon's ceremony possible, but more so have brought us the ability to create the big, slow, majestic memorial. First, we want to give our deepest thanks to our collaborators at Greenwood Cemetery, Gabrielle, Harry, Stacy, Shelby, Margie, the groundskeeping team, and the whole Greenwood staff. Please join me in thanking Greenwood Cemetery for hosting the big memorial. In addition, I want to lift up the anchor partners who make this project possible each year. City Lore, Mano a Mano, Mexican Culture Without Borders, and Great Small Works. Steve Zeitlin, Jenny Romaine, Juan Aguirre. And we're very grateful to our funder, the Andrew Mellon Foundation, which started an amazing initiative a few years ago called the Monuments Project, a project to rethink the meaning of monuments, how we create them, why we create them. And this project was started by Elizabeth Alexander, the poet, who is the she's been there now a few years, but she was the newly inducted president of this very powerful foundation. And she started right away by creating an initiative to rethink the meaning of monuments. And they came, they did a request for proposals that we submitted, and they were very interested in our idea of a monument that didn't last, that was only up for a little while, that was ephemeral, and had its most important impact by being something that would disappear instead of stay permanent. So we thank the Mellon Foundation for giving us the opportunity to continue our memorial project for 3 years, beginning last year, 2023, this year, 2024, and then our last memorial here at Greenwood and with Mano a Mano will be in 2025. Yeah. Now, I spoke a little bit about the partners who have gathered together to create the memorial, but that memorial also had to be installed on the fence, and we want to thank those who magnificently shared their skills and generosity for doing the installation. Dark and Brown, please stand if you all are here. Inga Lee Black, Sandra Bell, Aviva Silverman, Amelia Castillo, Olga Resendez, Margie Trapani, Jenny Romaine, Teresa Cagliari, Sam Wilson, Mary Feaster, and Earl Bumagat. It took a lot of people to get that stuff up there. But most importantly, we want to recognize our community partners. The community partners who created the panels, who we worked with beginning in January to create the memorial as it stands today, big and slow and magnificent and majestic. We couldn't have done it without them. So we thank them for their art and labor in the service of helping our city move through the experience of the pandemic. Partners, as your name is called, I'd like you to stand up if you're able, and please remain standing until all our partners are named. And if the audience would please hold their applause until the very end. These were our 20 partners for 2024. This year from the Bronx Documentary Center, Casa Euramain, Vishnu Mandir Hindu Temple, and Health and Hip Hop Incorporated. From Brooklyn, Come Forever Mutual Aid and Health Resources Center, Guyana Cultural Association, Parent-Child Relationship Association, Project Reach Youth, Pure Elements Evolution in Dance, the Brooklyn Combine, West Indian American Day Carnival Association, and Women's Empowerment Coalition of New York. From Manhattan, Yafa Cultural Arts. From Queens, the Bangladesh Institute of Performing Arts, Jews of Jackson Heights, and Epicenter, NYC. And then we had citywide organizations, Archive-Based Creative Arts, Glenn Marla and the Healthcare Workshop, Long COVID Justice, and New Moon Sisters. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our partners. Please give them a huge round of applause. We love our partners. Thank you for doing it. And finally, I'd like to invite the members of the Naming the Lost Memorials planning team, the group that works throughout the year to bring Greenwood the memorial and also to create a memorial which will be happening in October for Days of the Dead. Usually it will happen at St. Mark's Church in the Bowery and is led by Juan Aguirre of Mano. So if the team would step to the front, we'd love to see you. This is the Naming the Lost Memorials team right here. And what a team it is. Here's Juan, here's Sandra. Okay. By name, Seth Schoenberg, Sandra Bell, Steve Zeitlin, Juan Aguirre, Jenny Romaine, myself, Kay Turner, Elena Martinez, Ava Pedrilgeri, and Megan Paradise Hanley. That's it, folks. That's the team.
We're having an Aussie. Where's Elena?
Elena, where are you?
Where's this
We
always
done?
happens.
Come help me with the tea lights. Okay, tea lights.
All right. That's the team. Thank you, team. Good job. And I'd also like to thank our sound engineers for today, Alexi and Austin from Full Stack Sound Production. Also certainly want to thank Orville on the video and live stream. Thank you so much. Where I don't see where, oh, there you are. Okay, there's Orville. Yep, and we all have to have our documentation and technical people to get us through these days of doing the memorial project. So thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of this. We really thank everyone, and it's such a beautiful group effort, really. It's really a coming together in a really beautiful way, and kind of brings me into an emotional state, which I think I'm going to be needing in the next few minutes here, because we're now going to come to the part of our ceremony, which is what we've done since we first began doing a ceremony for naming the lost, which is to name the names of the dead. I want you to consider the potency of bringing names forward, the names of those you've lost or you know others who have lost people during the pandemic. I also want you to think of the potency of naming the losses that you've suffered or that you know others have suffered as a result of the pandemic. And I also want you to understand and feel the potency of the living, of who we are today and what we can do in the way of remembrance and mourning to keep alive the understanding of what the entire world went through beginning in March of 2020 and that is still not finished yet. It's been a really incredibly bad time for many, many people, and it's not over. And I'd like to begin by having you saw some of the signs that were carried in the procession about murmuring. We had a great discussion about how murmuring allows us to bring up certain inarticulate feelings, ways that we can't really have a word to say, but we know that there's something that needs to be said. It comes up from the heart and from the throat and deep in the gut. A murmur is a sound. Let's murmur together. Murmur, 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 murmur. And if you begin to murmur together and see a vision of something that really caused you tremendous pain during COVID, for me it's going to be the trucks that were parked outside in Williamsburg that were filled with bodies, and I knew what was in there. The trucks, the trucks, the trucks, the trucks, the trucks. The trucks. You say the thing. You say the thing for you. You say the thing. You say the murmur of something that comes up for you, that comes up for you. It comes up from deep inside. It comes up from deep inside. It makes a pathway for you to say the names of the dead. It makes a pathway. It makes a pathway from deep in your gut, into your heart, into your throat, for you to release the names of the dead, release the losses that you've suffered, bring them out into the full understanding of those who are here to help you and for us to help each other. The truck, the truck, the truck. Now you've all been given tea light candles. And although we're in full sunlight, we're going to ask you to stand if you are able and gather together a little bit closer. I'd love for people who are up there in the mountains to come down with us, because we're going to do a round of naming the lost. And the best way for us to name the lost is to shout out those names.
As you come closer, Kay, we have to remember that we're going to put our masks on so we can be close to each other.
Great.
In safety.
Yes, yes. Bring masks to your face. Yeah, I'll give you all a minute to come down into our circle if you'd like to. Come down into the circle of naming. Now, what we do is we begin a process together of naming the lost, and we try to create a spiral that is a spiral of uplift into the sky, into the heavens, that takes those names up and into the world in which we live, so that we remember those names and we remember the suffering and we also remember the life that was lived. So feel free to repeat the name again and again throughout the naming process. You don't just have to name the person once. You can name many people. You can name a person over and over again. It's to create a vortex of the power of naming, the power of remembrance. Okay? So I will start. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Jenny gave me my candle. And we lift our candles up as we name the lost. Anup Kumardas, Frank DeCaro, Mark Gold, and we'll just continue going from over here on the right, stage right, all the way around. So if you would start over here and just start the naming process. Bill Haney. Donna Mason. Franklin Small. Laverne Jackson. Marilyn Williams. Tommaso. Keep going, keep going. Naming the lost, 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 name the lost, naming 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 the living who are still suffering, naming the lost, naming the lost, naming the losses that were suffered, naming the losses, naming the lost, naming the dead, naming the living who still suffer. Incarcerated people, fire people, police officers, nurses, doctors, teachers, children, grandmothers, the people who lost multiple members in their family, not one, not two, 3, 4, 5 in one family. Naming the lost, naming the lost, naming the lost, naming the lost worldwide, naming the lost, naming the losses, naming the living who are still suffering, giving our names, each of you who would say your own name into this vortex and send up these names with your name. Kay Turner. Beautiful, beautifully done. Thank you so much. And now, if you would, we're going to begin to have you come down and leave your candle on the altar that's set up over here. The altar will receive the light that you place on it, and it will burn here in Greenwood at the chapel for the next number of days and weeks until these little lights burn out. And please feel free to take a flower away with you if you'd like to. Leave your candle and bring a flower home in memory of someone or in recognition of a loss that you've suffered. And then we close our ceremony not in mourning, but in celebration of the dead, in an understanding that they are still with us. So we dance with the dead through the wonderful dancers of Mazarte that are over there. They're going to teach you how to do the butterfly dance, and we end our ceremony by dancing the butterfly dance and making sure that we leave this place, this sacred moment, with a sense of mourning, but also a sense of mission. So end with the dance. Mazarte,